Right now, we don't need more engineers. We didn't run out of television screens and planes. We ran out of food.
In Christopher Nolan's Interstellar, humanity is faced with a shortage of resources due to an ecological crisis. Confronted with the issue of the long-term sustainability of life on Earth, Cooper, played by Matthew McConaughey, is convinced by NASA scientists that to ensure humanity's survival, he must lead an expedition deep into space in search of a new home. It is made clear from the offset that Cooper's primary motivation is the love and survival of his children, and these two themes appear repeatedly throughout the film.
We're not meant to save the world. We're meant to leave it.
How long would I be gone?
Hard to know. Years?
I've got kids, Professor.
Get out there and save them.
There has already been an extensive amount of discourse around the film's themes of love and survival in both academia and existing video essay work online. I want to focus on Bellamini and Dunn's chapter in the book titled The Philosophy of Christopher Nolan. I think their philosophical arguments of the film help to analyse its themes, raising questions like, is our survival really so important to the universe? I will highlight how ethical issues and selfish motives behind our survival instinct vary between different characters in the film, and explore how Nolan's editing techniques and directorial choices enhance the audience's emotional affinity with these themes. This should allow us to identify what the film can teach us about humanity. The premise of the film is centred around our survival instinct as human beings. This survival instinct is then based on the belief that humans are important to the universe. But as Bellamini and Dunn pose the question, is the universe really a better place with the human species in it? To make the case for our continued existence, they look to the German philosopher Immanuel Kant, who proposed that we are unconditionally valuable because we are rational beings. Without us in it, the universe would have no value, as we are the only creatures that are able to bestow value upon things. Therefore, according to Kant, Bellamini and Dunn point out that our extinction would be a very bad thing indeed. So should the survival of the human species be Cooper's incentive? Well, according to the Greek philosopher Aristotle, happiness is the one thing that everyone desires as an ultimate end, sought solely for its own sake and never merely as a means to something else. Bellamini and Dunn relate this to Cooper's struggle, as his family possesses intrinsic value because it's a vital component of what constitutes a happy life for him. I would extend this point by suggesting that Cooper's love for his children and their love in return is what he derives happiness from. Therefore, his survival, as well as theirs, is in his best interests.
Find us a new home, and by the time you return, I will have solved the problem of gravity. I give you my word.
Professor John Brand, played by Michael Caine, lies to Cooper, as his gravitational problem cannot be solved, and he reveals this to Murphy later in the film before he dies. He felt so strongly about the survival of the species that he deceived the entire crew, when the only real option was Plan B, to start a new colony of humans and forsake those on the planet. This raises contentious arguments of the ethics and morals displayed by Professor Brand. Most would argue that his lie was utterly immoral, but I would make the case that it was a necessary evil to ensure the survival of the species, as Cooper would never have agreed to the mission if there was no way to save his own children.
Our survival instinct is our single greatest source of inspiration. Take you, for example. A father with a survival instinct that extends to your kids.
Bellamini and Dunn point out that one way to understand the extraordinary power of parental love is as an extension of self-love and the deep-seated survival instinct that accompanies it. Just as we would do anything to stay alive ourselves, we try and ensure the same for our children.
You can't just think about your family. Now you have to think bigger than that, all right?
I am thinking about my family and millions of other families.
Although biased towards his own children, it is clear that Cooper does regard the survival of the human race as a whole to be valuable too, displaying a strong moral compass. Then again, we question how selfish his actions are at moments, such as when he's greeted by Romilly on the Endurance, who has waited 23 years for their return. Cooper shows little interest, however, and is far more worried about not having seen his children all this time and missing years of their lives.
Messages span 23 years.
Play it from the beginning.
Just as Cooper does not get to see his son or daughter growing up, so too the audience are deprived of this character development. This creates the effect that the audience are experiencing what Cooper has experienced, so we feel a closer emotional affinity with this scene. Christopher Nolan goes on to develop this new relationship that Cooper has with his children, especially Murphy, in the second half of the film. This is done through editing back and forth between two narratives, in space and on Earth. This brings our focus to the mirrored lives that Cooper and Murphy live millions of miles apart, but their love for one another is still driving their survival instincts, perhaps without either of them actively thinking it. There are a number of similarities drawn between their lives through the intersecting narratives. The environmental conditions are similar, as they are both inhospitable. There is conflict that both characters face and must overcome. Cooper fighting off Dr. Mann, played by Matt Damon, and Murphy trying to calm her brother down to try and make him think rationally about his children's safety. They both must act quickly to resolve their problems. Murphy must find what she is looking for in the house before her brother returns, after she set a fire to his crops to distract him. And Cooper must get back to the Endurance before Dr. Mann maroons the crew in space, after he fled the planet and left Cooper for dead to save his own life. The intersecting narratives then come to an end at this point, as Cooper tries to convince Dr. Mann to not attempt to dock the ship.
This is not about my life or Cooper's life. This is about all mankind. There is a moment.
Dr. Mann's selfish survival instinct creates a new dilemma for Cooper. If he doesn't recover the ship, the mission will have been for nothing, and his children's lives will be at risk. With the odds stacked against him, the scene also shows the desperation and lengths that Cooper's love will go to have a chance of seeing his children again. However, once he manages to recover the half-destroyed Endurance, he realises that making it home to his children is no longer a possibility. Therefore, he must put his love for his children to one side and consider the survival of the human race, for the first time in the film, to be the most important objective.
Love isn't something we invented. It's observable, powerful. Love is the one thing we're capable of perceiving that transcends dimensions of time and space.
Love and survival have a different dynamic at this point, a much greater purpose, one that extends to humanity's continued existence. Nolan then provides us with the following scene, which epitomises the power of love and demonstrates Cooper's survival instinct giving way as he makes the ultimate sacrifice.
Ranger 2, prepare to detach.
What? No! No! Cooper!
3.
Cooper, what are you doing?
Newton's third law. You gotta leave something behind.
You told me we had enough resources for both of us.
We agreed, Amelia. 90%.
Don't.
Detach.
We need not look far for a more human moment than this in the film. Nolan convinces us that Cooper's journey has come to an end, and even the choice of music here heightens the affective response from the audience, again creating an emotional affinity with the characters on screen. What we do not realise yet as an audience, along with Cooper, is that the black hole's singularity was a man-made construct all this time, known as the Tesseract. The film hints that a future generation of humans, far more advanced than our own currently, built this to ensure that we save ourselves. So even the distant humans in the future still look out for us, share this primal instinct of survival, and also believe that humans are fundamentally valuable to the universe. Yet again we see Cooper reaching out to his daughter, a love that transcends the dimensions of time and space, and the Tesseract serves as a metaphor for their bond. Just as the future of our species looks out for and saves us, so too Cooper works out a way to look out for and save his own. Through comprehending some of the philosophical ideas in the film, comparing ethical considerations of different characters' survival instincts, and reviewing the editing and directorial choices that Nolan makes to connect Cooper and Murphy, the themes of love and survival are made evident. However, for me, Interstellar teaches us not only how powerful a force love is, and the irrefutable relationship love and survival have with each other, but it serves as a reminder that for as long as humans have existed, these are the two fundamental things that have ensured our survival. And you can be sure that they will continue to do so in the future.